Last time in Superman, the Last Son of Krypton, we heard about Pete Ross, Lex Luthor, and Clark Kent entering a science competition when they were in the ninth grade. Pete Ross made something that could electrically stimulate plants. Clark Kent made a rig that showed what it would be like for astronauts in space. This happened before people landed on the moon. And Lex Luthor created a video projector that could shoot his image from one room into another. Pete Ross won the competition. We pick up chapter 15 from there. Lex was despondent. The dubious judge had realized that Lex was from Smallville and assumed that Superboy had helped him with his extraordinary entry in the science contest. It was not true. It was also technically not against the rules, since Superboy was not an adult. On the slim chance that Superboy had not, in fact, helped young Luthor, the judge convinced his fellow judges to give top honor to another boy from Smallville, Pete Ross, who had put together a very impressive project. The idea was for the judges both to be fair and to maintain the integrity of the contest. They did neither. Lex Luthor was raised on anger. Superboy was raised on responsibility. Superboy knew that it was not logical, but that it was quite proper for him to feel responsible for Lex's loss of the prize. He was worried that the boy would do something self-destructive. Lex was more likely to blow up Waterville Valley. Superboy determined to soften this disappointment. The day after the contest, Superboy asked the Smallville alderman, Jonathan Kent, for a special building permit for a temporary structure on an acre of village property at the edge of town. The mayor was scheming with the board of aldermen, unsuccessfully as it would turn out, to make Superboy a paid public relations agent for Smallville, and the board thought that this permit would be a good first step toward that end. Superboy got his permit a week later at a regular board of aldermen meeting. Within half an hour after the mayor signed the permit, there was a white and red flat-roofed one-story 40 by 20-foot building on the lot. Superboy equipped the building with rare chemicals and minerals, deep freeze, compression chamber, centrifuge, an electrical generator fueled by the heat from a pocket of natural gas that lay 700 feet below Smallville, and every other useful gadget he could think of. Superboy set Lex Luthor down at the new laboratory's front door and wished him luck. The way Luthor now remembered it, his entry in the rinky-dink science contest and his faking of disappointment afterwards were simply an elaborate scheme to get Superboy to build him a lab. Some weeks afterward, young Lex Luthor received 2 registered letters. One was from the Westinghouse Corporation asking him to work for them the following summer, using their resources, helping to develop the new science of holography. The other was from the Criminal Court of Waterville Valley, informing him that charges of horse thievery had been brought against him, and that his trial was scheduled for the beginning of the summer. By the summer, Lex Luthor would have more important things to worry about. The development of holography was set back at least a generation. The sturdy door in the penthouse flew open, and Dr. John Lightfoot tromped out of the room, down the 4 steps into the main hall, and walked across the room, mumbling and looking down and scratching under his left ear all the time. He bounced off the glass door to the balcony, walked in 2 tight circles, and ran back to the study when his face lit up. A minute later, Lightfoot called out, "Air! I need some air!" Like a photon out of a quasar, Luthor was at the study, where he slammed into the little philologist, who was absently wandering through the doorway. As the two helped each other up, the thought briefly skipped through Luthor's mind that Lightfoot felt very solid for such a light man. "My God, Lightfoot, I thought you were dying." "Of what?" "I don't know. Emotional dislocation. What did you yell for?" "Air. It's a stuffy factory meeting in there. Can't I walk around somewhere and clear my head?" "Anywhere. The penthouse is yours." "No, outside." "The balcony?" "I'm sure I'd fall off the edge. What's wrong with the street?" "The street isn't shielded. You'd be seen. I built a camouflage shield to cover the top of the building from the outside. From any angle, this looks like an ordinary penthouse apartment. I've kept this setup going for years." "Then the roof. You want to walk around on the roof with the air conditioning system screaming at you like a dying rhinoceros?" "Yes, the roof. May I take the document with me?" Luthor had Lightfoot and the precious papers with their torn lead casing escorted to the roof and left alone. Moments later, a swirl of colors spun into the smiling form of Toby. Lightfoot handed the document to the elf, and with a splash of discordant sound, the little philologist disintegrated into the instrument from which he had emerged just hours ago. Toby took the time to materialize at the desks of several unstrung news reporters to inform them he did not appreciate the manner in which art was vulgarly hawked on this planet. "My outrage grows each hour I stay. I'll leave your earth without delay." And he did. Sometime during the latter 5 to 10 minutes of the news broadcast, the apparent size of the studio crew and staff began to increase. On a closer examination, it became obvious that these added staff were not doing much of anything beyond standing around, gossiping, watching the show, that sort of thing. Unlike entertainment shows, the news always had lots of background chatter. It was thought that this lent to the atmosphere of a newsroom to the broadcast. The new people included most of the staff of the Daily Planet left in the building, as well as secretaries, night receptionists, agents, and executive types from the various enterprises of Galaxy Communications, recording, opinion polling, publishing, entertainment, merchandising, and so forth. At first, they came because word of free drinks and food started to trickle through the elevator shafts. Now they came mostly to watch what Lois Lane called the Steve and Clarky Show. "Not once, you say? Not once in your whole life, you say? Is that right, Clarky?" The sportscaster hung over the back of his chair, much as his loosened tie dripped from his neck. He was halfway through his second Bloody Mary. "Never, I told you. Is that so incredible?" Not a single bead of sweat surfaced on Clark Kent's face during a broadcast, or after one, or at any other time for that matter. He made up for that chink in the armor of his identity by dropping papers now and then as he cleared news copy off his desk, then bending as awkwardly as feasible to pick them up. "You heard him, everyone. Anyone else here never do it even once. Come on, don't be shy." Those who thought Lombard went beyond the realm of clowning into indecency seemed to outnumber those who were amused. The Steve and Clarky Show still apparently had the most loyal audience in town. "Ha! At least no one's going to admit to it in public." Actually, I always thought it was a rather admirable quality to avoid that sort of thing. "You're from a farm town. How about the hayloft?" "Never." "In back of the VFW hall during a square dance?" "Not then either." "Down by the lake when the folks were off corn shucking under the bleachers in high school at the back gate during lunch hour in study hall?" "During my school hours? My dad had tanned my hide." "His dad, hear that? Good old Dad." Lombard had held out his half-finished tumbler of vodka and tomato juice. "I mean, I can't believe that you lived in the land of the free all your life and you never touched an ounce of booze." During his career in professional football, Steve Lombard carefully cultivated the reputation of a partier. Now his growing belly and barrel chest that made his pinstripe shirts contour like a bulging jail cell did it for him. "Seems to me like there were a few years back there when it was illegal to drink alcohol in the land of the free." Prohibition? Ancient history. Okay, sorry, this is Superman that says this. Seems to me there were a few years back there when it was illegal to drink alcohol in the land of the free. Prohibition? Ancient history. Nobody took that law seriously. You always ignore dumb laws. It's the American way. Lois saw Clark foundering. He always foundered when he was about to be winning. "Hey, $100 man," she yelled from beside Benny's snack cart. "Talking about ignoring dumb laws, what'd you pay in taxes last year?" The lady customarily brought the house down. "Listen to me, Clarky." Lombard took control again. "How about you take a gulp of this baby, huh?" He held out his drink. "No thanks." Clark, of course, was nursing a container of chocolate milk. "What'd you do for drinks, anyway? When I was a kid? Well, Ma had this concoction she used to make, like nectar of the gods." "Now we're getting somewhere. Did she have a still out back, too?" No. She put in pineapple juice and apple juice and orange juice and a pinch of curry and some other things. It was the finest tasting liquid nourishment in the world, probably the whole solar system." "The hell with it. This Bloody Mary's got it beat. Any Bloody Mary's got it beat." "Nothing's got it beat." "Want to make a little wager on that, Clarky?" Now Lombard had him. Everyone in the studio was cheering and stomping and yelling, "Bet!" or "Put your money where your mouth is," or something similarly appropriate. No bet, Clark protested. I never bet. Afraid you're gonna lose, eh, Clarky? I won't lose. Even you'd say the concoction tastes better than a bloody whatever her name is. Then you'll bet a week's salary? No, I don't bet money, hisses from the bleachers. How about food? Do you bet food, dinner? If 3 unprejudiced people pick your soft drink over the Bloody Mary, I treat you to supper anywhere in town you say. If I win, it's your treat. Well, that sounds fair. But cries of chicken gut and waffler from the chorus. Then it's a bet, folks. Then it's a bet. You heard it, folks. And maybe we'll even get to see Mrs. Kent's virgin throat. This is Steve Lombard again. Then it's a bet. You heard it, folks. And maybe we'll even get to see Mr. Kent's virgin throat moistened by a splash of the juice, eh? From the back of the studio, a very prim young lady stuck her head in the door. She had the caged look of a receptionist still on duty. Mr. Kent, telephone. Clark took the chance to bolt from his seat and plow through friends and acquaintances out of the room to the young lady as Steve swayed through a monologue about the evils of abstinence. Who is it? Clark asked her. Something important? I don't know. It's your private line. He says he's Lex Luthor, and he does a really good imitation of his voice. Sharp shooting pains in the stomach. In Clark's most persistent nightmare, Luthor finds out his secret identity and devises a way to announce it to everyone in the world except Superman himself. Clark wakes up in the morning, in his dream, to a cheering crowd outside his window of his third-floor apartment at 344 Clinton Street. He opens the hallway door and finds shoulder-to-shoulder admirers blocking the path to the elevator. People flock Metropolis and jam hotels and park benches and subway tunnels. The ratings on his local news show break national records. Women, wherever he goes, even at work, throw their bodies in his path. People jump out of windows and leap in front of moving trucks when they see him in order to attract his attention. A smiling Morgan Edge tries to ingratiate himself by giving Clark $1 million a year raise. He has to be Superman all the time. It is hellish. Hello? Clark said. Hello, Kent! It was Luthor, not a mimic. The voice print was unmistakable. Yes, this is Clark Kent. Who is this? It's Luthor, Kent! Listen, you'll tell your friend Superman I'm madder than I've ever been at anyone since the day that superpowered bonehead made me lose my hair. It's been stolen. Your hair? No, you sparrow brain! The document! Document? The Einstein papers. The stuff I lifted from the vault the other day. It was the feature story on your show. Or don't you pay attention to what you're reading? Yes, I know, but I thought you stole it. Didn't you? Not this time, you dolt. It was stolen from me. My mind, this is trying to talk with a grapefruit. You don't have to get insulting, Mr. Luthor. Why did you call me? Clark was going through the tedious process of tracking a call with X-ray vision. To tell you where your friend Superman can find me. Oh, Clark said as if replying to the question. What's the 15th letter of the alphabet? Where? He would stimulate an electron in the wire with X-ray vision, watch the impulse travel a few feet or a few inches until it hit the intersection of 2 wires. Tonight, at Pier 82, the ship where they dock those tourist boats. Tonight, tourist boats. He would then send an impulse down each of the intersecting wires, and one of them would dash back at Clark's phone with the speed of light. He kept following these impulses in trial and error fashion. Until now, he traced the connection for 3 blocks. I'll be on the bridge of a ship called the New Atlantis at 9:30 tonight. Can you get in touch with him by then? I can try. His impulse was coming from 12 blocks away now, and that looked to be more than halfway to Luthor's location. I'll help him find the thief of the papers. Tell him just to be cool. I'm not going to pull anything. I won't have them snatched out of my hands like... Excuse me, but would you hold on a while I get a pencil to write all this down? He'd found Luthor. He was in a telephone booth at the corner of St. Mark's Place and First Avenue. And we will pause there.